Hello, wonderhussie here. Still working on editing the videos I shot in Colombia. Unfortunately, I didn't get one ready in time to post today. So you're just gonna have to wait until Friday. But in the meantime, I decided to take a break from editing, come out here and shoot something to post, and also get a few steps in for my Fitbit. That's right. I started wearing my Fitbit again because, well, I can use it to monitor my sleep, and also it occurred to me that I spend so much time sitting on my big fat keister editing that I'd better get a reality check and look and see exactly how few steps I'm getting per day. And yesterday I think I got less than 2,000. So here I am out in the middle of nowhere, walking the line. Just like Johnny Cash, I keep a close watch on this heart of mine. Actually, Johnny Cash wouldn't be caught dead in an outfit like this. He was known as the Man in Black for a reason. Actually, the reason I'm wearing this crazy colorful outfit is this is the caftan, and I have to be careful because it's a little too big for me, but this caftan belonged to my grandma, who passed away recently. That's right, my dad's mom passed away at the ripe old age of 89, I think, a few months ago, and she was a wonderful woman. And when she passed away, my aunts that were going through her things sent out a mass text message to all her nieces and daughters and sons, I guess, and nephews, if there was anything of grandma's that you wanted. And so some people wanted her jewelry, some people wanted this, some people wanted that. I said I wanted her caftan because A, I love caftans, it's totally my style. B, this is what she was wearing the last time I saw her. Okay, my sister and I went to visit her. Well, I gotta be careful, it's way too big for me. My grandma was bustier than I am, let's just say. Anyhow, my sister and I went to visit her last summer. Just before she passed away, she had terminal cancer. But again, she lived a very long and very happy life. I mean, she was born a poor sharecropper's daughter in the Boot Heel of Missouri. Ended up coming to California just like the grapes of wrath in a jalopy piled high with other goods. And long story, but she ended up doing quite well for herself. My grandpa and her owned an Ace hardware store, maybe more than one, I'm not even sure. And she ended up living on a golf course. She had a wonderful life. Anyway, the last time I saw her, she did have cancer, and she was wearing this caftan. And so I just thought it was kind of a cool way to remember my wonderful grandma. Shirley was her name. Shirley Ann Green was her maiden name. From the Boot Heel of Missouri. I don't remember the name of the town, but anyway, she was a wonderful woman. And so that's why I'm standing in the middle of the road wearing this crazy kind of, I don't know, more Janis Joplin than Johnny Cash ensemble. And unfortunately, I Walk the Line came out after Janis Joplin died, I think. So she never had the chance to cover that. But can you imagine if Janis Joplin covered that song? How amazing it would be! Because you're mine, I walk the line. And sincere apologies for even attempting to impersonate Janis Joplin. Actually, the way my life has been going lately, it's less I walk the line and more like dragging the line, dragging the line. Remember that song? Making my living the old-fashioned way. I dig snow and rain and the bright sunshine. Dragging the line, dragging the line. I looked it up, and I guess the meaning of that song, dragging the line, is just sort of like dragging through life day after day, which is exactly what it feels like I've been doing. If I'm being perfectly honest, the last few years, I don't know, man. Sometimes even the most fun thing can start to feel sort of like a drag. You know, all this colorful circus-like frippery can become burdensome, so to speak, at times, and that's why sometimes it feels more like dragging the line than walking the line. But to be honest, no, right now I definitely am feeling the fact very acutely that I spend my entire life walking the line. And no, I'm not talking about it in the same sense as Johnny Cash, who was talking about being tempted by all these sexy groupies on the road, but he stayed true to his first wife, which is ironic because if you know anything at all about Johnny Cash's first marriage, he did not walk the line when it came to his first wife. As soon as he met that hoe June Carter, well, they both broke up their marriages to be together. But anyway, I'm talking about walking a different line. I'm talking about walking the line between right and wrong. Walking the line between being a good person and a bad person. Basically walking the fine line that is the life of an ethical YouTuber. Okay, I know what you're probably thinking. Ethical YouTuber? Isn't that what you call one of them there oxymorons? Well, no, I'm here to tell you it's not. I know that social media, dun dun dun, is everybody's favorite boogeyman nowadays, and they blame social media for every ill under the sun. And I certainly agree that social media can be pretty dang toxic. I know I can speak for myself that sometimes if I scroll through my Instagram feed and I see what all these other more successful YouTubers are out there doing, well, it can make me feel kind of crummy about what's going on in my own life. Which, incidentally, is walking down the middle of a lonely highway between an ancient lake bed and a bunch of really interesting mud hill formations out in the middle of nowhere. I came to this road in particular to shoot this video because it's very seldom traveled, way more seldomly traveled than the lonely road I shot my last video on, which if you watch that, like 5 cars drove by me while I was trying to film it. This time, nary a single car has driven by me because this road doesn't really go anywhere that leads to any good, and well, you can tell from the condition of it, it's pretty neglected even by Caltrans. But even though it's all patched up, it still has a line down the middle of it, and that's what I wanted to walk along. And yes, I am just kind of walking back and forth up and down this lonely stretch of highway because, like I said, I gotta get my steps in. Anyway, what am I talking about with all this ethical YouTuber, walking the line, blah, blah, blah? Well, I've talked about this before in a video, I think when I was in Secret Valley, aka the valley that a bunch of old men with saggy balls down to their knees don't want me ever mentioning the name of on social media. Well, I'm having the same kind of crisis of conscience, okay? I had a interaction recently with somebody in the little community where I live who was basically unhappy with the attention I've been bringing to the area. And I'm very sympathetic to that, okay? Acutely sympathetic to that. When I moved out here in the first place back in 2021, I was really afraid because I know how people feel about social media, especially YouTubers who go around to desolate places, you know. You tell everyone about all these hot springs. You tell everyone about these cabins. You tell everyone about these desolate places. You're ruining it. Well, I really am mindful of the damage that can be done, and so I try to split the difference. I try to walk the line by showing these places to those of you out there who are unable to ever go see them yourselves, and maybe you used to go out hiking and exploring and you can't do that anymore because you're too old or you're infirm or you don't have the money. Well, I feel like you guys have a right to see these places, but I also take the complainers' points, and so I never, or very rarely, name the places I'm going. I always give them these fake names, and I obfuscate quite a bit when it comes to the details of how to get there, and I feel like I do a pretty darn good job not being an asshole. But the fact of the matter is, no matter how many funds you raise or how many puppies and paralyzed kittens you help save, some people are just always gonna think you're an asshole. Oh gosh, look at this. Caltrans did pave over a stretch of this highway, but they didn't paint a line on it, which means, golly, I don't know which side of the road to walk on. Do I go over to the good side? Do I go over to the bad side? Is there a good side? Is there a bad side? There ain't no good guy, there ain't no bad guy. There's only you and me and we just disagree. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so anyway, I'm very mindful of the fact that a lot of people are just gonna hate me no matter what I do. And so when I first moved out here, I was very diligent about not saying where I was moving to, okay? If you've been watching my channel for a while, I live on the edge of Death Valley, or I live in Death Valley is what I used to say and still do say sometimes. I'm moving to Death Valley, Death Valley, Death Valley. Well, that's not actually the name of the town where I live, but I didn't want to say the name of the town where I live because A, I didn't want a bunch of randos showing up at my house, and B, I didn't want to piss off the townsfolk, many of whom are hiding out here for a reason. Anyway, that went on for, quite some time. But meanwhile, my sister and I did everything we could to ingratiate ourselves with the folk in this community. We volunteered for every committee, and finally one day they needed a fire chief. And so somebody from the fire board came to me and asked me if I would share their press release about needing a new fire chief. Well, I can't go on the internet and say we need a fire chief if I don't say the name of the dang town where we need a fire chief. And so the cat was out of the bag with that video. I had to say where I lived, and then after that, well, then we did some fundraisers for the fire department, and they wanted me to advertise the fundraisers, and so I had to say where it was, otherwise how would people have shown up to give their money? So I did end up having to say where I live, and I guess in doing so I brought some unwanted attention to this area. Yes, I raised a pretty significant amount of money for this area, but apparently that isn't good enough. There are still some people who feel like they just don't want any attention at all. And I understand that this video is not like an axe grinding thing. I'm just trying to work through my feelings, honestly, legitimately. And if you follow me on Facebook, well, you saw I posted about this the other day. It's really been gnawing at me. It makes me feel terrible that I pissed more than one person off, I guess, by moving here and doing what I do. And so I'm kind of trying to figure out how to proceed from here. You know, can I continue to walk this line? Or maybe there isn't any line, like down on this part of the highway. Well, maybe there is no line for me to walk, and I should just quit. And I'm not gonna lie, that has also been kind of swirling in my brain lately. I am not really one of those people who thinks everything happens for a reason, but I don't know, I don't discredit that way of thinking. I ended up out here, and it seemed like a good idea at the time, and I do like it out here. But recent events have sort of had me questioning if it really was the best move. I mean, yes, it is absolutely beautiful in this part of the desert. That is absolutely beautiful right now at the beginning of March when the weather is beautiful and pleasant. Come talk to me in a couple months and see how beautiful it is. I mean, it's a striking landscape no matter what you think about the desert. But the fact of the matter remains that it is not a landscape that is suited to human habitation. It's not, despite the preponderance of environmentalists in this area, a place that is sustainable for human life. I mean, to live out here, you can't drink the water. It's windy more often than not, and this fine dust gets kicked up, and that can't be good for your lungs. In fact, I know of at least one person who died of mesothelioma out here. And thirdly, if you want to live out here, you have to suckle at the teat of big oil so that you can run an air conditioner or at least a swamp cooler 24/7 from April to October. Okay, I think there is one or maybe two people in town who is completely off-grid with solar panels, and so they're exempted from that, but everybody else is suckling at the teat of big oil, and make no mistake about it. I mean, the only truly sustainable place to live is someplace where the climate is a bit more temperate and you don't have to run an air conditioner or a heater every gosh darn day of the year. Wow, look at this view. I don't come out here very often, but it's well, I won't say the name of it, but it's the bottom of an ancient prehistoric lake. Believe it or not, many, many, many thousands of years ago, this landscape used to be lush and tropical. And this was a lake. Oh gosh. What's that? Oh my word. There is traffic on this road. Probably because of these dang YouTubers blowing up the area. Social media! Anyway, most places, businesses would be happy to get, you know, extra publicity, but everywhere is different, and I understand. In fact, I was told once by a business owner here that they explicitly did not need nor want any more business, because this was years ago before I moved here, and I asked this particular business owner if I could write a good, or if they wanted me to, or I told them that I was going to, I guess, write a good Yelp review of their establishment, and they were like, no, please don't. I have enough business. Okay, well, I understand that line of thinking. More power to you. That's cool, not to be greedy. But I sometimes sort of get the sense here that these people want money to run the fire department. I think it might be better if there was just like a big jar in the middle of town that people could come to. You guys, my people, could come to, put your money in, and then get the hell out. I think that might be more what people have in mind here, frankly, because I have been accused of my people, and by that they mean you guys who follow me or watch my videos, my people coming in here and trashing stuff, okay? I've been accused that my people left drugs randomly on the table in one of the local establishments. I've been accused of my people trespassing, my people camping where they're not supposed to be camping, and it's true. When we had our last fire department fundraiser, my sister did say she saw one of my people camping at a place where you're definitely not supposed to be camping. I guess it was posted no camping in this person's defense, and I met her, and she was a very nice woman. The signs are pretty small, and it's hard. It's confusing out here, okay? You come out to the desert and you just kind of think, oh yeah, I can camp anywhere. Well, the truth is you cannot just camp anywhere, and that's part of the problem. So I'm just going to say this. First of all, I don't necessarily encourage you to come here, but if you do come here, please, you're basically an ambassador for me, okay? I'm responsible for you. I'm vouching for you. Like, you're like my invited guest. So please don't litter. Please don't be a jerk. And please, please, please don't trespass. You know, it just occurred to me that I shot one of my favorite all-time photos right here on this same dry lake bed. Isn't that an awesome photo? I need to get it together and make that a poster, because I've actually had a few people asking about that. They'd like to buy one. All I can say is, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Okay, have you ever heard that saying? It's meant to describe like world leaders, like people in positions of power. You know, you might think, oh, sure, it'd be so great to be president of the United States. Well, yeah, it might be great fun to be president of the United States, but it's also a lot of responsibility and a lot of weight and a lot of stress. And so the head that wears the crown can get kind of heavy, even if it is just a cheap toy crown on top of some naked ninny's head sitting on a throne in the middle of an ancient lake bed. Anyway, all of this is just to say that I know you can't please everyone, but I really don't like pissing people off, which is why I'm trying to walk the line. And at the same time, keep a close watch on this heart of mine, which sometimes can feel pretty bruised and battered. Anyway, I guess I'd better get back to my office and back to my editing and back to dragging the line. Dragging the line. I feel fine talking about peace of mind. I'm gonna take my time. I'm getting a good sign. Dragging the line, dragging the line.